Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, Senior Editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Hello and welcome to the Line Life podcast. My name is Amy Fishbach, and I'm the field editor for T&D World magazine and the host of the Line Life podcast. Before we begin our episode today, I wanted to wish a happy Lineman Appreciation Day to all the line workers out there, but especially the listeners of our Line Life podcast. Whether you are an apprentice just starting out in the trade, or you're a veteran lineman who's been working for years in the industry, I hope you have a wonderful, relaxing day, and your companies and customers are putting you in the spotlight and recognizing you for being a hero and first responder. Thank you, line workers, for all you do to keep the power flowing and the lights on for communities nationwide. If you have a photo that you'd like to share from today's Lineman Appreciation Day celebration, please email it to me at euoeditor@endeavorb2b.com. Now let's move on to today's episode of the Line Life podcast, which highlights one of those hardworking line workers who gives back in the line trade. Today we're featuring Arthur William Muñoz of Salt River Project, or SRP. He was featured in our Lighting the Way for the Line Trade feature for our 2024 Line Worker Supplement for T&D World magazine. This article won a Silver Regional Award in the American Society of Business Publication Editors, or ASBPE, ASB Award competition, and our Line Life podcast also won a regional award for the Central Region. You can read the article online on our website and listen to it in our In Case You Miss It series on the Line Life podcast platform at linelife.podbean.com. Also, I wanted to deliver best wishes and a huge thank you to all the line workers who are helping with the 2025 Light Up Navajo project. On April 5th, SRP sent 2 crews to the Navajo Nation to join line workers from 44 utility companies across 20 states. 14 SRP employees helped to connect homes to the grid in remote areas of the Navajo Nation, where 70% of all U.S. households without power are located. Light Up Navajo has provided electricity to more than 889 homes since the program started in 2019. SRP's portion of the project will conclude on April 20th. Look for more coverage in T&D World magazine of Light Up Navajo 6, but in the meantime, here's my interview with Arthur Muñoz of SRP about the past Light Up Navajo projects. Art, thank you so much for joining us today for the Line Life podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
So, Art, to begin, can you talk about what inspired you to join the line trade 23 years ago?
Yeah, for sure. During that time in my life, I was probably about 24, 25 years old, doing what every kid at that time is trying to do in their life, is like figure out what I'm going to do. So my father actually worked for SRP, and he was like, hey, you should try to get a job here. And I'm like, well, I really don't know what SRP is and what you guys do. I know it's like the power company. I didn't even know what he did. So he's like, well, this is what we do, and there's so many different trades out there. So he's like, you should just put an application and just see where it goes. So I did. Put in my application. I ended up getting a job as a trades helper, thrown on to a crew, starting my day at 5:30 in the morning for a construction and maintenance, just kind of C&M crew, kind of doing some cleanup for crews that go out there and destroy stuff from asphalt to trees, adding rock and all that kind of stuff, picking up oil. And I kind of was out just on that crew, kind of like a culture shock for me, waking up that early, coming to work, working outside. It was November at the time, no, actually December. So it was really different and foreign to me. Then, I got to see what kind of line work was happening and what that actually involved and what it was. I didn't know if it was necessarily for me. I knew I was kind of just still kind of putting my feelers out there and kind of just seeing what I liked, what I didn't like. I know I didn't like heights, that's for sure. So I was like, well, it seems really, really cool. These guys are pretty crazy. They're like grown 8th grade men. It was like an 8th grade locker room, and I just loved every bit of it. Got to do the work, got put on a crew, and then from there, I was like, all right, this is for me. This is kind of what I want to do. If I work hard, I can be an apprentice and then just see where this job takes me. So it was just, I love the camaraderie of the crews. I love the work. I loved the hard work that went into it. And I was kind of sold. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So Art, how did you overcome your fear of heights?
I just threw myself into it, to be honest. I just either sink or swim, and I swam. So I kind of just, through repetition and then just trusting my tools and equipment, I kind of just eventually got over it. There was still like time in the apprenticeship and later on that I was like, man, this is kind of hairy right now. But I would just kind of just put my trust into my skills and everything that I had behind me and just kind of just got over that.
Do you remember the first time that you climbed like a tall pole or structure? What was that like? What was that feeling like for you?
Oh yeah, in climbing class. So at that time we went to class during the week. They still do that now, but it was Monday through Friday. And we had this pole. It was an H4 pole, like a 75, 80 foot pole. And we called it Godzilla. And that's like, we were still harnessed when we were free climbing still back then. And we would have to free climb that thing. So I remember getting, they teach you your climbing techniques, and then you just start going after it and trusting that your techniques and everything. And I remember getting high and I was like, well, at like 25 feet, I was like, I'm already getting high. The pole's getting skinnier. And then I'm like at 45, I'm like, well, I'm at a 45 foot pole right now and it's still like another 30, 40 feet. And then I start going up higher and I was like, well, if I fall down now, then, I mean, it is what it is. At 45 feet to 75 feet. And then once you get to the top, you hit the top of the pole and then you're like, all right, now let's just get down, get down safely. So it was a trip. I mean, it's a trip. That whole trade is just awesome.
That's awesome. I love that. And then you won the David G. Hollis Award for Outstanding Apprentice. Talk about what that award meant to you.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I mean, we had 12, 13 apprentices that went through my class and my apprenticeship. We had a couple drop. So you just go through the apprenticeship trying to just get through it and live it and grind. And you start reaching the end, you're like 7-step, 8-step. You have no feelings going into an apprenticeship. So once you start getting the 7th to 8th step, you start knowing the end's coming, you start getting your feelings back. You're like, man, I'm almost done with this. So once you top out, that's thrown at you, and it was thrown at me. And I was like, really? I'm like, me? Out of all people? I'm like, oh man, because I didn't want the limelight. I just wanted to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be done. So it was cool to be recognized for that because I put a lot of hard work into it and, taxing hours and just grueling on your family life and everything. So it was really cool to be acknowledged for that. They had a great dinner and they had a hotel and stuff. So it was cool. It was really, really cool. My whole family was behind me, my ex-wife, my parents, my mom, and, my dad at the time. So it was great.
That's so great. Well, congratulations. Yeah. That's a huge honor.
Thank you. People still ask me about it. You're like, you got they call it the OA, the Outstanding Apprentice. I was like, no, I didn't. I think it was somebody else. I don't like those accolades really don't mean a whole lot to me, but they're kind of cool at the same time.
I'm sure you inspired a lot of people coming up behind you. That's really cool. And then you became a lead lineman and a working foreman. What was it like for you to move from a field role to a supervisory position?
So, from lead lineman, you're taking that next step to a working foreman. So you're always progressing. You can tell in your mind when you're kind of ready for the next part of your career. So when I got my working foreman job, I was totally ready for that. With the supervisor job, I was not ready for it at all. I was kind of getting tapped on the shoulder for it. They were mentioning it and they kept mentioning it. And I was like, man, what do I want to do here? I'm at a crossroads in my career. I'd been a working foreman for a year. I barely got comfortable with that role. I had a great crew, and then all of a sudden they threw me into this uncomfortable position. So taking this supervisor job, it was a temporary role. It was, but they wanted it to be permanent. They clearly made that obvious to me. So it was tough. It was really tough. It was a culture shock. I'd known nothing else but working outside for, at that time I was, let's see, how many years was I in the company? 16 years, I'd say. Yeah. So 16 years. I've been in this role now 7 years. So it was extremely challenging. I will say that. Being as young as I was, I just turned 40. Being as young as I was coming into this role, and then managing crews and managing foremen and having discussions, uncomfortable discussions. I mean, it was a trip. I had to definitely learn how to talk to people and listen and kind of just trust in my personality and kind of lead. And it was difficult, challenging to lead senior linemen and working foremen that I've worked for that taught me the trade. That was really eye-opening and difficult at times, but I think they respected me enough. I respected them enough, and we kind of got over some things, but it wasn't easy. It was not.
And it's a whole different skill set probably, right? To be a leader than be working out in the field. What advice would you have to other line workers that are kind of put in the position where they're leaders after, learning from some of the more experienced linemen?
I would say, what helped me definitely is just being honest. Linemen just want to be honest. They respect your honesty. They just want to be told straight up. Some of them take it different than others, and that's what is challenging. That you have to be able to read the personality and if they can handle what you're going to tell them. And so some guys you really, really have to just give it to them. Some guys you have to be a little bit more delicate and talk to them differently. So it's definitely challenging, and you just trust in your leadership skills and kind of just use your best judgment.
And then talk about kind of your workday now. When does it begin and end? And what are some of your key responsibilities now?
So right now I'm at Tempe Line Maintenance. So it's our maintenance division at SRP. My usual day starts at 5:30 and it ends at 3:30. We maintain the whole distribution system valley-wide in Arizona. So it's a very big territory that we have. We have a reactive group, and then we have preventative group, and then we have a pole replacement group as well. And then we have support services, diggers, operators, C&M crews that also assist us in our division. So I'm on the reactive side right now. My day consists of maintaining the system as far as any kind of integrity issues that it has from the preventative side or reactive part. Reactive part being, like, say someone hits a pole, storm season, underground dig-ins, things of that nature. From the preventative side, we try to prevent things from happening as far as, like, they say, swollen elbows in an underground can or a transformer changeout just because it's leaking or it's overloaded, upgrading transformers, or they'll blow. From the reactive standpoint, they'll blow. Things of that nature, falling down overhead conductors and stuff like that. So it can change at any point during the day. We have to be extremely flexible. We try to schedule as much work as we can, but we definitely have to leave room for any kind of major unforeseen circumstance that can create a hazard for the public, or that we had to just get people back in power quickly and restore power to them.
So do you have trouble calls at night then, Art, that come through?
Correct. So the way that we rotate the on-call late duty supervisor shift is I have it every 5 weeks, and we have it for a week at a time. At that time, you're on call till 4 a.m, Monday through Friday. So your shift starts at 11:30 a.m. You're working pretty much until 4 a.m. They can call you at any time, the dispatchers, for car hit, broken pole, or any kind of transformer that blows. So, and then at 4 a.m. that next morning, the day shift supervisors pick back up. And during that day, like today, right now, I'm on call, working, and can react to any kind of call. So then when the weekend comes, you become the loneliest man in the valley of SRP, because you're the man for everything until Monday morning. So if you need help, we definitely, or my other supervisor counterparts, will definitely help and jump in if you need it. But it's pretty much on you that whole week, and it can get crazy busy, and you're definitely working the whole time.
Sounds like a really big job. And then during your career, you talked about the climb and shake inspection. Can you talk about that for our Line Life podcast listeners?
Sure. At that point, I was a fifth step apprentice, and the way that SRP would do this from our generating station all the way down the valley, we inspect the towers. So this was also new and foreign to me and scary at the same time. It was insane. I was insanely terrified when we first started doing it. And climbing steel compared to climbing poles is totally different. So before we started this inspection process, I was climbing the steel and I was having trouble trying to get over fear of the height, because at the waist of that, you're already 60 feet in the air, or actually about 45 to 60 feet in the air. And then it just starts getting higher. So, I do got to thank my fellow linemen and working foremen that were helping me get over that fear. Cause I was scared. I was really scared. Okay. And they helped me. They really did help me. I know who it was. It was, Val Pearson, Cliff Hogue, and Rush Smith. They were awesome. They got me through that time. So I do got to give them kudos for it, because I thank them to this day. I mean, I was I couldn't even sleep. I was like, is this for me? Am I going to get through this program? So at that time, we started that climate shake, and what they would do is we went to training for this helicopter training, because they would long line you down from the chopper onto the very top of the tower. And then you climb down, inspect the steel for any kind of loose bolts, any kind of rattling and all that. And you kind of make note of it. And then the next season they come through and fix all that. So it was another scary moment, getting hoisted down off of the helicopter onto that, but it was awesome too. It's just extremely, extremely cool at the same time as being scary. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So have you done any helicopter work since that time, Art?
No, I haven't, but I've inspected line now in this role. So most recently was 2 monsoon seasons ago. We had a huge microburst come down into the valley and just take out all kinds of transmission stuff, 115 poles or towers, transmission tower, 230 towers. It was crazy. We had our distribution poles down, so they wanted me to get up in the helicopter with our pilot and kind of just assess the damage if we had more poles down the way. And then I got to ride in it again to do some other inspections. So it's really cool, because we have our own helicopters here at SRP.
Oh, that's really neat. And then let's talk a little bit about storms. So I'm in Kansas City in the Midwest, but I know you guys have something called monsoons and the microbursts. Can you describe what those are and what those do to your infrastructure?
Sure. So monsoon seasons, every summer season here in the valley, the storms just pick up with the different temperatures and climates in the air. And we can have this whole microburst come through. It's kind of like a mini tornado, where it just kind of everything is just right. And we'll have these huge dust storms come in, these huge haboobs, and then from there, just the winds pick up, and it just creates havoc, and it can create 1 to 60 to 70 poles that just go down. So usually when that kind of major damage happens to the infrastructure, it's kind of like all hands on deck. Some of those storm restorations can be from 1 day to 3 to 4 days. And then we can put it back up, and then a week later it goes back down. So it's they're kind of quick hitters if you think about storm work compared to hurricanes and things of that nature. So it's kind of minute compared to that kind of carnage that can happen to infrastructure. But we handle it pretty good. Our guys are phenomenal with it. And safety is just out of control. It's just awesome. They handle it great. Their bodies are acclimated to the weather conditions and everything here. So we do an excellent job kind of restoring power in a reasonable manner for our customers.
And then what is one of your most memorable storms? I know that SRP does mutual aid from time to time. So talk about one of the most memorable storms you've worked on.
I haven't had too many opportunities to go out of state for mutual assistance. With the hurricanes that just came through, we were trying to entertain going out there, and then they got so much help that we were kind of held back. So I really haven't had too much opportunity to travel outside of state, but here in the valley, there was one in particular just because I was so green to this type of work, so new. It was down south, and we had huge transmission poles go down with major distribution poles, and It's in farming areas, so it was extremely humid. It was just hot as heck. It was just insane. And for some reason, that one always stands out. I remember we were just trying to hurry up and get, I mean, you're always trying, but for me, it just kind of was like, what is happening here? I remember running into people that I knew kind of walk in the area, like just bystanders wondering when the power was going to be back. And I was trying to talk to them and act like I knew what I was talking about, but I didn't. So that one kind of just sticks out in my mind because I've come so far. I don't know. I've advanced so much, and this company is so great. So that one kind of just sticks out in my mind for some reason.
And then talk about safety. You said that during storm work, safety is a big thing. Talk about what safety means to you in the line trade.
I mean, you just can't think of line work and not even think about safety at the same time. So, that's something that I've definitely gotten passed down from the guys above me, that they've just passed down, just safety in general. So, some guys try to cut corners and all that, try to get everybody back in power in a reasonable and quickly and timely manner, and kind of will compromise safety. I think I just have never compromised safety. I preach that to my crews, and there's no job that's going to definitely is important enough to compromise your safety. So, we put a lot of responsibility with our foremen and a lot of confidence in our foremen that they can definitely keep their crew safe and run a safe job. So it's just something that SRP is never shied away from, and is always kind of willing to give us any kind of amount of budget for safety. So it definitely is key in our industry.
Oh, that's great. And now I'd like to talk to you about Light Up Navajo. And your company, SRP, partnered with 42 different utilities from 16 states on the volunteer project to provide first-time power to homes on Navajo Nation. So, Art, what inspired you to join the volunteer effort?
Well, at the time that SRP was going over there, I had heard about it, and, I'd seen it in our magazine for the company. We call it The Pulse. I'd seen it and I'd heard about it, and not being able to be in much mutual assistance in different states, I was like, man, if I ever get the opportunity to go to our maintenance division, it's definitely something I want to jump in on. So that was kind of always in the forefront of my mind, once I got over to Tempe line in our maintenance area. So as soon as that opportunity came up, I jumped on it. It just wanted to experience it and kind of use our specific skill set to also help other people that are needing help.
So where exactly were you stationed, and how long were you there during this volunteer project?
So we were up there for 2 weeks. Myself and another section supervisor, we kind of went there for a week each. So that second week, I was up in Winslow, Arizona. And then from there, it was about a 45-minute drive to the show up yard with NTUA. But so when I went, it was our second week out there with the crews. So we had 2 crews and then 2 digging crews dedicated to 2 weeks stint up there. By the time I got there in the second week, they were already getting tired of each other.
So what were some challenges and rewards during the volunteer project for you?
So the challenges were definitely working in a different environment up in northern Arizona that we really didn't know too much about, in remote areas. The remote areas were kind of challenging. Cell phone service was kind of limited at times. Working off of different coordinate systems, latitude, longitude, just typing in Google phone and kind of going with it. That was different, unique. Working in a different utilities kind of spec books and then standards and how they wanted things built. It's kind of all different, but kind of the same at the same time for us. It's kind of like a different language, but we're definitely grasping it for sure once we start getting going on it. Kind of working with the 2 crews that were up there was different because I didn't really know them too well. I haven't worked with them a lot. We all know each other. I mean, we all kind of knew the trade, but just their work styles and personalities and stuff was a little bit challenging, but we got through it. Some of the definitely rewards for me were it's fun. Like anytime we can jump on a chance to do line work in different areas is definitely fun in open land like that. Some of the parts of the state that we don't get to see because it's on Navajo land that we can't really go on. That was kind of cool, and seeing like those areas. helping others that needed the electricity and the power. That was great. That was really, really cool to see them, and the amount of work that we did up there was also awesome. I mean, we just killed it up there. It was awesome. I mean, we're just working nonstop and working so hard and having fun at the same time.
So what kind of work did you do up there, Art? Like specifically?
Build an overhead line. So you're digging poles, framing poles, setting poles, stringing overhead line, and then hanging a transformer, running a service to a new residential home or an older home that's converted to power, and then slamming home the meter. Usually the NTUA worker would slam home the meter or ask us, you want to do the honors, So that's pretty much it. You're just working overhead.
And then how did it feel for you to learn that there were so many Americans that didn't have electricity on Navajo Nation?
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat that a lot of people don't have that. And it was mind boggling. So it made the efforts much more like awesome that we could do that and help people out.
And then were you able to be inside of a house when they turned power on for the first time?
I didn't. Some of the people were home, some of the people weren't. I wasn't able to experience that. I was kind of bouncing back between the crews if they needed help or assistance with anything. So I wasn't able to see that, but I know some of our guys did. What was really cool to be a part of was they had an appreciation dinner on the Thursday that we were up there. The NTUA and the customers put that on. So they cook for you and then they speak and they open up their culture to you. So that was really, really cool and rewarding.
Yeah, I bet that was amazing.
Yeah.
And talk about kind of what you were able to complete during your time on Navajo Nation, you and the crews.
Yeah, I kind of have to throw this out there. So the first day I showed up, it was a Sunday and we were on a 26 pole job. And we had just started it on that Sunday, and then Monday we finished it. So it just shows you how much work we were kind of pumping out up there. But I think I have this stat that I was pulling up. We set 137 poles. We ran 80,000 feet of overhead primary wire, and then about 2,300 feet of secondary conductor overhead. And then we hung 16 transformers and then energized like 17 customers while we're out there in that 2 weeks.
That is amazing work. How long did you guys work? Did you work like long days to get all that done?
Yeah, we're like 14-hour days.
Okay, that's a long time. And then where did you stay? Were you able to stay in a hotel close to where the work location is, or did you guys have to drive quite a ways?
We're at a hotel in Winslow, so yeah.
In Winslow,
too bad,
okay.
Yeah. So it was a 45-minute drive to the yard, load up, and then it could be an hour to an hour and a half at times to the job site.
And then what is your advice for other line workers considering volunteering for Light Up Navajo?
I would say do it. Jump on the opportunity to help others in need and get the experience and put your skills to the test in different areas, and you won't be disappointed. It was an extremely rewarding experience.
No, that's great. And then, Art, what plans do you have in the future for your career? Do you see yourself staying in a leadership position in the field, or?
Yeah, for sure. I took this job kind of not knowing where it would take me, but it gave me some kind of opportunities to explore the SRP in the corporate arena. So I've always kind of just wanted to kind of do that and see where it took me. So I'm open to any kind of opportunity after this, as a manager or director level or anything like that. If it ever comes my way, I'm going back to school. That's pretty cool. I've kind of taken a break now, but that's something I already put a year back into for my bachelor degree. Definitely helped me kind of open up opportunities here in the company.
So what are you getting your bachelor's degree in, and where are you getting it from?
Business management. I was going to Grand Canyon College.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wonderful. And is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? You said you had a few kids. What are their names? How old are they?
Yeah. Ava, she's 14. Cruz, he's 13. Remy, she's 13. And Max, he's 11. And then my girlfriend, Jackie.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll make sure we make a shout out to them.
I love them all. I love them to death.
Oh, it's great. I love it. And do you have any other comments about your career in the line trade that you want to share with the Line Life podcast listeners?
It's been nothing but rewarding for me. So, I mean, I love the trade and it's awesome. I thank everybody that kind of helped me get to where I'm at today, and they kind of believed in me, and it's definitely paid off, and it definitely is awesome.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out today, Art. I know you have a very busy work schedule, and we really appreciate everything you did for Light Up Navajo and inspiring line workers to give of their time and talents to help others.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You can also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.